was driving, but I don't know where I went. I don't know where I was for the last 2 hours. I was headed for home over here, but I ended up 17 miles over here, and I don't know what happened for the last 2 hours. As a matter of fact now, here's what they found out. When the host person can be put under a polygraph machine, do you know anything about the murder? Do you know anything about the sexual abuse of those children? Do you know anything about the host person is telling the truth? And they will completely beat or win, and they'll prove, they don't know anything. And so in their whole mindset, there's nothing. It's this personality that actually did it. It's this personality that actually did it. Now, law enforcement is going to take care of the whole person, though, if they get caught, right? But the truth is, this person didn't do it. This person did. Now, here's where you get into this whole thing where you get questions where they say, they feel responsible. It's like if you have a family and two of your family members go off and sexually abuse people or kill people or do whatever else. Now, you wouldn't expect to be charged. You might feel guilty. What did I go wrong? What did I do this? Or, whatever else. Well, the host person, when they begin to find out things, they begin to all of a sudden get co-conscious memories. All of a sudden memories from here, when they begin to get healed and deliverance begins to come and the demonic is pulled off of them, and all of a sudden memories begin to filter over into the host person and they begin to see glimpses. Or one personality will purposely give over memories to where inside they're getting closer and closer as far as healing is concerned, and memories come up. Man, the person begins to have a lot of trouble. But they have tremendous loss of time, loss of memory. They don't know things. And so you can ask a person question after question. Well, let me talk to so-and-so. Let's go down. Who else is here? The host person's here, but there might be 5 personalities listening. They're conscious, co-conscious of you. The host person, if they're still intact, doesn't know. They're listening. I've always said many of the multiples have multiple eyes. You look hard enough and long enough, it's like 2 to 3 people looking out at you at once. The main person may not even know, and you might eventually look, and we've learned to do after a while, is to say, who else is here? Let me talk to whoever else is here. Or when we teach on this, the Spirit of God can give you the exact name of another personality and say, I want to talk to Samantha. And the person's like, my name's not Samantha. Then all of a sudden, boop, they're out of the way and Samantha's here. And it can occur like that. Yes? They're usually programmed never. It's like they're created, in all the information is they're not allowed to on the inside. If they're structured, they're not allowed to share on the inside. They're barely allowed to know each other. Some of them have no idea there's 15 up there. They're like the host person. They don't know there's 12 others down here. And you can see where and why deliverance and inner healing takes a while in this case. Okay, it is a transmutation, and I believe it is a satanic technology and taught by the other side. And we'll look at that some more. Let's go a couple more things, then we got a break coming. 2 more pages. Punishment can occur, including torture and having personalities buried as if they are dead. If a personality inside begins to give the coven or the handler trouble, begins to say, well, you know what, I've watched other people and I've seen that real people out there, they're not like this, and I saw the church people and they don't cut people's heads off, and they begin to realize they've been lied to, and they begin to get really cognizant. You know what they want to do? They want to bring them back and reprogram them. Seek to erase memory and reprogram them and demonize them. If not, they'll bring great torture to them. They'll use a max unit. They'll do all kinds of things, but nothing that can really be seen as far as real pain. In other words, they won't beat them with bruises all over them. They want to do stuff where there's no physical evidence, and usually that will come from shock treatments and stuff like that. Torture can occur to personalities. They can tell you stories that will make your teeth, fall out. The incredible things that can be done, the horrific things that can be done, the stories that we've heard, kept us up nights just thinking about it and wondering how in the world can anybody do it. You're going to have to decide along the way what you're going to do. If you know that there are, let's just even say there's only 1 million actual multiples in the United States, and this all began to occur in the 50s, who did this to these people? Who took these little kids, these little girls and many little boys, and began to do these things? You've read the book Secret Weapons so far. Who did this? And who's doing it now? See, what we got to understand now is they haven't stopped. You know, there's a few 100,000 children missing every year that are never, ever, ever found. Now, most of the missing children is related domestically, they say. But that's, when you're talking about 1,500,000 per year, well, what about the hundreds of thousands that never get found, ever? Where are they at? We'll talk about how some of the personalities work and how they steal others' children for ritual stuff. They may inside have a personality that's so willful, they put down and they demonize to keep it down, and they tell the rest of the personality, that person's dead, they don't exist any longer. Well, we found in going back in with deliverance and inner healing, we can find anybody down. The Lord can find anybody. He can find anybody down there, bring them right back up, bring them to healing, and then when the inner healing occurs, they go and they're there no longer. That's the other side of the story. Sleepers, here's another issue, and this is what really concerns me the most, I guess, is that all across the board, many of these personalities have sleepers. What I mean by this is they are highly programmed, demonized, very, very trained. Trained for killing, trained for chaos, trained for, all kinds of stuff, but they're submerged and they're asleep and they're waiting for particular codes. They may have other personalities and demonic, they might have demonic powers to keep them submerged until a day of activation, and that's what we're going to get to in a little bit. Let me give you this last thing here, and then we'll go on to the next thing. I'll take the break and go on to the next. Why is all this being done? Again, I say satanic technology. Let me give you 5 things. Number 1, to gain an army. The number 1 reason for all of this, ultimately, despite how it's done, is to gain an army. If you remember Lebensborg, and some of you saw the Nazi film, the whole purpose of Lebensborg, it was to bring more and more children. Hitler just simply wanted more children for a super race. He wanted a master race. He wanted soldiers. So he started the whole the progress there. You saw in the video alone 211,000 children that were taken into Lebensborg project. They're 58 and 68 years old today. Where are that? Where's that 250,000 kids? Where are they today? They're all over the place. And they were being created and purposely bred to become German soldiers and be part of the master race that would reign 1,000 years from the Nazi ideology. So it's to create an army. Secondly, it's to continue the bloodline and satanic secrets. Continue the bloodline because they believe the powers are in the blood, that the demonic powers that were given to the grandmother in Germany, at her death can be handed down to the first daughter, and at their death can be handed down to the next, therefore making more and more and more powerful chosen ones, and keeping the demonic presence alive instead of kicked out. They're transferred, because when a person dies, if they are demonized, the demons, they got to go away, right? Demons don't just hang into and use dead bodies. The dead bodies decay and go away. So instead, there's a really incredible satanic ritual that occurs when a grandfather, high priest, or grandmother with whatever powers they had, they can be breathed over. Ritual stuff is read. Ritual stuff is done. And obviously the grandmother is going to be dead that night, or calls the next child in for the next generation and can transfer from her, in that ritual, all the spirits and their powers into the next person who's been prepared to be a chosen one anyway. So it's to continue the bloodline powers and secrets. Thirdly, it's to create doorways for the demonic. Chosen ones are able to conjure spirits, to release spirits, to do spiritual warfare. They know how to obtain spirits and release them. Remember what it says in Revelation 18, that Babylon, a world system, has become the home, a dwelling place for the demons, manifested. So how do you get more and more demons manifested? I mean, they're there anyway, but how do you get them from their realm into this realm? Well, either from getting them in your life, or having folks that know rituals to bring and kind of dirty the air and get them. And you know how it is when you feel the dark presence and you walk into a house, right? Remember how we said in the deliverance seminar,